So is the OG Armani Acqua di Gio a good freshness fragrance, and does it still hold up nowadays? I've talked about it, I've compared it with the other ones, but I've actually never done a full review of it until now. So let's talk about what it smells like, compare it a bit with the other ones, and then go through the performance, usage, mass appeal and more. And like always, when I do a full review, my final rating of it. But before I begin, make sure you drop a like and subscribe for more, and make sure you comment with your thoughts on the OG Armani Acqua di Gio. Do you really like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's the best in the line, the worst in the line? And how would you rate Armani Acqua di Gio, the Eau de Toilette, from 1 to 10? Let me know in the comments. So there are too many notes to go through, so I'm just gonna list them below. Let's see what it smells like. Okay, this is pretty much a classic by now, and to my nose, the OG opens up with quite a prominent dose of zesty, citrusy freshness right away, together with quite a prominent dose of neroli. The OG is the one that has neroli in the opening, and I do find that the neroli in the opening basically amps up the zesty freshness of it all with its floral and slightly sweet freshness. In less than a minute, it's pretty much impossible to pick out everything in this. The whole thing explodes with an even bigger dose of freshness. So this in the opening is basically a mix of quite a prominent dose of citrusy freshness. You definitely have quite a noticeable dose of floral freshness to it, and it's definitely a bit aromatic and aquatic fresh. Yeah, you gotta have a super nose if you're going to pick up on all the notes in here, but you can definitely feel it's quite a complex dose of freshness. And in like 5 minutes, you can feel that classic Acqua di Gio aquatic freshness starts pushing through more and more. And this, to my nose, at the heart of it, is basically a mix of that aquatic freshness together with quite a prominent dose of citrusy freshness. However, its citrusy freshness at the heart of it, to me, is a lot smoother and a bit softer. Its floral freshness is still there, but I do find that the floral freshness of it feels a bit more nuanced, even though it's a bit softer. The marine side of the OG is something I feel you sort of get in the more modern and newer versions of Acqua di Gio, whereas its initial freshness and floral freshness is something that was pretty much sort of limited to Essenza. So the drawdown of Armani Acqua di Gio, to my nose, is where its freshness starts to move more into the aquatic side of things and move away a bit from its citrusy and aromatic freshness. The floral freshness of it is still there. However, the drawdown is where you start to get a bit of soft woodiness. If I compare the woodiness of this with the woodiness of the more modern flankers, I do feel this has quite a soft woodiness to it. You also get nuances of something fruity and super softly sweet in the drawdown. And one way to sort of summarize Armani Acqua di Gio, the OG Eau de Toilette, is that this is basically a big dose of a nuanced kind of freshness. You have that signature aquatic freshness, you definitely have quite a prominent dose of citrusy freshness, it's got a floral fresh side to it, which basically amps up the zestiness of it all, and it definitely has a bit of aromatic freshness as well. And the drawdown brings a bit of soft woodiness to it all, and a bit of soft fruitiness and a soft hint of sweetness to it all, but that part is really soft. This is actually mostly about a big dose of freshness. And I do feel that if you compare the freshness of the OG with the other ones, I do feel that they sort of simplified and made that freshness in the other ones more modern. All of these are intensely fresh. However, I do feel that the freshness of the more modern flankers are not as nuanced and complex as the OG. There's, however, in most of the flankers, a sort of a better balance between the intense freshness that they have and a bit of woodiness. But with that said, most of the flankers are without a single doubt anchored around that classic aquatic freshness of the OG, but with a twist. When it comes to the vibe of the OG Armani Acqua di Gio, this is basically summer and sunshine in a bottle, but I do find it's sort of a casual feel is mixed with a bit of classiness and elegance. When it comes to compliments and mass appeal, if you wear the OG Eau de Toilette on a warm summer day, most around you will most definitely think you smell good. This on a warm summer day is definitely quite a likable scent. But with that said, I received more compliments with some of the flankers, and overall it does feel like some of the flankers are more mass appealing than the OG. When it comes to the performance, I do feel that pretty much, with some exceptions, most of them perform sort of similar. None of the Acqua di Gios, at least on my skin, have extreme performance. The projection initially is actually good, but it goes down quite quickly. And overall, both the projection and longevity, at least on my skin, are a bit above average. When it comes to usage, so like seasons and occasions, Acqua di Gio, the OG, is basically mostly about an intense dose of a nuanced kind of freshness, and I do feel this pretty much screams summertime. So primary seasons, definitely summer. But I mean, you can wear this throughout the year. As an example, I've always worn Acqua di Gio Profondo throughout the year. When it comes to usage, pretty simple, whenever you want a fresh scent on you. Warm summer days, when you're going to the gym, stuff like that. So who is the OG Armani Acqua di Gio for? Number one, this is the sort of a baseline, is that you should know that you absolutely love intensely fresh scents. If you do not like fresh scents, then this is definitely not for you. Number two, the other sort of a baseline is that you should know that you enjoy a mix of citrusy freshness together with a bit of aquatic freshness. Number three, and I think this is an important one, is that you should know that you enjoy a bit of floral freshness, because at least to my nose, at least on my skin, this has quite a noticeable dose of floral freshness. If you like that stuff, then this might be for you. If you absolutely hate that stuff, then this is definitely not for you. And just because you like the newer flankers, it doesn't mean you like this one, and vice versa. The freshness of the newer ones, at least to my nose, is definitely a bit different. Definitely not as nuanced and floral like this. The newer ones feel a bit more sort of a minimalistic, still intensely fresh, but not as complex fresh as the OG. And these are balanced up in a different way, mostly because of a bigger dose of woodiness. Even though the new ones have that sort of a signature Armani Acqua di Gio DNA, these are all a bit different. So everyone likes and dislikes stuff about them all, so I do recommend to try before you buy. There are so many alternatives to Acqua di Gio, but my two main alternatives from the Acqua di Gio line are going to be the Parfum and Profondo. These two have basically taken that signature marine freshness of the OG, but made it more balanced with a bigger dose of woodiness. Both of these have intense aquatic freshness that's balanced up in a really nice way with a bit of woodiness. And they also have a bit of aromatic freshness to them. I think it's pretty much impossible to go wrong with Profondo if you love aquatic freshness, and pretty much the same thing goes for the Parfum. The sexiest of them all, though, is the new Acqua di Gio Elixir, and to me it's almost like a mix of Acqua di Gio Parfum together with a bit of the OG Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette and a bit of the epic Acqua di Gio Essenza, but with a twist. And that twist is violet, adding a different kind of freshness to it all and a bit of soft leather. Elixir to me is a darker and sexier version of Acqua di Gio, but at the same time, it's definitely not as fresh and refreshing as some of the other ones in the line. Acqua di Gio Elixir is sexy, fresh, and to me at least, a different kind of fresh scent for summer. So how am I going to rate the OG Armani Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette that is so epic to so many people? It's never been my absolute favorite in the Armani Acqua di Gio line. However, the last few months, especially this summer, I've started to appreciate it a lot more. The freshness of most of the other ones are definitely more simple, but to me a bit more likable. But I mean, this smells good. It's a classic for a reason, and I'm gonna give Armani Acqua di Gio, the OG, 7.5 out of 8, somewhere around that. Make sure you check out my other Armani Acqua di Gio videos over there. Please drop a like and subscribe for more, and make sure you comment on how you would rate the OG Armani Acqua di Gio from 1 to 10.